what I find fascinating is that everybody thinks that they need to play some sort of picture and that they have to convince other people that they're worthy, that they have to um, do things where they are demonstrating that they're simply good enough. And what I've learned many times over, if you simply just be yourself, if you are just just being open, like not convincing other people and telling that story about all of the things that you're going through and all of the things that you are feeling or experiencing, and you're just upfront about them. Often that is the best way of doing things. And it's like truly fascinating that we have to often convince other people, um, that we have to say that we are somehow it, right? Like we've done everything. And the more that I live life, the more that I'm doing things, the more I realize that that is simply just not the case. I think the realism, the, just being honest, telling people what the experiences are actually like that you go through are much more effective than all of the things that you think that you have to put on as a display. And frankly, I've somewhat given up on all of that because it's been many years trying to do it. And what I've realized is just the rawness that people actually really like. And it's very different from an academic sense. So I'm a professor, and part of our job is to sort of make these displays of, this is what we are supposed to do, and this is how we're supposed to study. And frankly, I don't think it doesn't resonate with people when it's like that. It's not truly how people are experiencing the world, and it just doesn't resonate. So I've come a long ways where I think of myself as with the whole reciprocity project, with what I'm doing here, I think of myself as a living laboratory. I think of myself as, okay, if I was to build a platform, if I was to be a researcher and still build a platform, how might I diary? How might I talk about this? How might I go through these experiences so other people can learn from them? And maybe one day we can put the pieces together and sort of see this story. And I think about that. The sort of fascinating thing is that I never want to do any of this stuff, but it's the overarching story that is the important thing, where I'm helping you just see what it's actually like. Not in any given moment in my head, I don't want to do anything that I feel, that 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 the world is essentially scary in my head, right? The whole thing. And so the only way that I can do it is to express all of those feelings and to explain them, because I think that's the key thing. And I think that's what holds up most people, is that they're afraid to do anything. There is something that's holding them back. I don't know what it is, but it's very real. And most people never really tried to innovate or do something because they're afraid of what they're going to tell themselves. They're afraid of what other people are going to say. All of those things, all of those emotions are very, very real. And by talking about this over the long haul, I think it's a healthy way for other people to see the realness of what goes on. But I find it fascinating that we all have to put on these displays. And the more that you sort of get to higher levels of, society, whatever that means, right? Like I understand there's a bunch of crap, but but the more that we move up in organizations, we become higher, in the what they call the upper echelons um, organization, senior level managers, or, we become more sophisticated in our careers, the more that we have to put on these displays of we have to do things proper, that there is these very hard factual rules that exist, that are very, very, you know, hard and true, and embarrassing if you violate them, which makes it all the more important to be playful, to be kind of silly with yourself, to realize it is tackling those things that are very deeply emotional, being open about the sort of emotional things that you go through. It's actually the secret to all of it. Um, and that's the only way that you're going to move beyond what you're doing right now, is to go towards those things that are very embarrassing, and those things that nobody likes to do or say, and to pursue those things where you're going to feel like, I'm an outsider. This doesn't feel good at this moment, but I'm going to pursue this thing anyways. And it's within that of getting used to those feelings that actually, that's where you actually start innovating. And that's where you start doing things that are entrepreneurial, or where people are just, you're embarrassed about it, right? The whole thing, me talking about this, these feelings that I go through, this is very real, but I think this is what most people go through, and why they're so afraid to try anything that's innovative, or to do anything that ventures from the norm. We have many people in this world have the resources to do things. And it's never about the resources, but it's the fact that you're going to do them and you're going to feel silly, or you feel like you are, are not good enough. Like all of these things, that's very much at the heart of why we actually don't do things. It's because we feel insecure. We feel all of those emotions that are very real. I understand them completely. Um, and those are the things that often hold us back. So I encourage you to try to be a slightly more open. I know it's hard. Trust me, I don't like doing it, but try to be a little bit more open. Sometimes you'd be surprised in what happens when you do that.